So in this video, I'm going to talk about URL optimization. In this video, we will learn what is URL and how you can do URL optimization in your WordPress website. Hello friends, I'm Shivani Goel. Welcome in WsCube Tech. So let's start with a brief definition about URL optimization. What URL optimization is. So basically, URL optimization is a technique or a process under which we optimize the URL slug structure of a web page in order to make your web page more understandable by the search engine crawler. How we can do that? Let me show you live demo here. For this, let's suppose this is my website and this is the dashboard of my website here. Okay, let's suppose if you create one post here and now you want to change your URL slug, in that case, let me show you how you can do that. First of all, you have to open your post here. If you want to create new, you have to click on add new option here. Okay, then we simply added this particular post here. And now in this particular post, I will explain you how you can change URL for this particular post. Okay, this is a post you have. Now, if we want to change particular URL for this post, here you can see that for this particular post, we have this URL here. Okay, but this particular URL is not in human readable form, or you can say your search engine readable. So now what we have to do? We have to simply edit that particular URL so that it is in human readable form. In that case, you have to simply go to your SEO plugin. This is my SEO plugin here. Here we simply have to edit my URL here. Here we simply have to edit my URL. For edit my URL, what we have to do? We have to check your snippet preview here. This is your snippet preview here, and this is the particular link for this particular website here. Okay, now we just want to edit this particular URL here. For this, simply click on the setting option. After that, here you can see that we have this particular URL slug here. Okay, from there you can change this particular slug. Let's suppose for this particular post, how can you do that? You have to change slug. Let's suppose traditional website. Okay, let's suppose this is the slug we added here. This is the URL slug for this particular post. Here you can see how this particular post will look like. This is the URL slug here. So by this way, you can simply change this particular slug. Okay, now when you add this particular slug, so it is important that you must have to mention that particular keyword here. Whatever be the primary keyword for this particular post you have, that particular keyword you must have to mention in your URL slug. For example, for this particular post, now we have one keyword, that is e-commerce. This is the keyword we have. So what you have to do? You have to simply mention this particular keyword in your slug. This is your URL slug here, and here you have to mention your keyword. Along with your keyword, you can mention any text you want to add. This is your slug, URL slug. Okay. By this way, you can simply add that, and now you have to click on update. So by this way, you can simply add URL slug in your WordPress website. What is the meaning of URL here? URL stands for Uniform Resource Locator. It is a web address of any file which is available on www, that is your World Wide Web, which can be accessible by anyone at any point of time. So this is the meaning of URL here. Now the question is, how URL important? So URL optimization is important because it is the one of the main steps in the process of the search engine optimization of a website, because in that case you can simply edit your URL of your particular web page or your particular post and make it in your human readable form or your search engine readable form. So that search engine considered that if your URL have this particular keyword, then must be your particular web page or the post must be relevant to this particular keyword here. It helps the search engine crawler to understand your web page topic and increase the chances that page with optimized URL to get found on the relevant searches in the search engine. So that's why we can say that URL optimization is important. Now the question is, how does we consider bad and the good SEO URL look like? So there are many type of URL available on the web, but the ones that are clearly defined are always promoted by the search engine crawler because they are easy to read and understand. Here, just look at some example here. This is your first example. Here you can see that we have this some text here, then we have some number here. So can we understand that what are the information this particular code is trying to say? So the answer is no. So this is your bad SEO URL. Again with the next case, here you can see this is a word here, then we have again some text, then we have again some number here. This is also your bad SEO practices. Next we have some special characters here. This is also your bad SEO practice, but in the next here you can see service name. So it's clearly defined that this particular web page gives us information about service's name, service name, location. This is also give you same information. Again you have one breadcrumb here, that is your first category, then soap, then dove. It means this particular web page is about this particular dove, and that is the category under your soap, and that again is your category here. So this is your good URL, good SEO URL here. Next we have part of URL. So when we are doing URL optimization, so it's compulsory to learn about the part of URL here. First we have HTTP, or you can say HTTPS. HTTP, which stands for your Hypertext Transfer Protocol. This part is a protocol of a URL address. This is the only part in a URL which can't be changed when it comes to optimize. Okay. Next we have blog, which is your subdomain. What is the subdomain? Subdomain are used for those parts of your website that are different in themselves from the content of the website, maybe a blog, testimonial, etc. Okay, so these are subdomains. Next we have domain name. Just like you have domain name Rank Watch or your WsCube Tech, so these all are your domain here. So it is the name of your website. Here you can see Rank Watch, it is the domain name, and it is recommended to choose a brand related domain instead of an exact match domain. Next we have .com, which is your top level domain. It is your website's domain extension, that is your .com, that can be your .org, .edu. These are also some common examples of your top level domain. Here we can say that .com, this is for commercial. Again, if we are using .edu, this is for your education. Again, if we are using .org, that is for organization. So it can also be country specific, just like your .in, which is for Indian. So here you have to use one top level domain here. After that, then we have /technology. What is this technology defined? This is your category. It is a website subfolder, or you can say path. This need to be descriptive. For example, just like here we can use technology here. This is the category here. And after that, this is your product. Product, which is the actual page of the website that has been clicked for. So these are the part of URL. Okay. Now the question is how to optimize this particular URL. As now we understand what is this URL, how can we change URL slug for any particular post or any particular web page. So now the question is how to optimize this particular URL. So now we have some steps here which we have to follow to optimize our URL structure. So the first step is you have to avoid parameters. What this parameter is? Parameters are the variable that are added to the URLs. Just like you can add this. So the above URL can be understood as the URL of a website that sells different brand, and that text, which is that question mark / brand ID, this is your parameter. So now you have to avoid this type of parameter here. It is always advisable, instead of adding any complicated parameters, prefer using real and the clear descriptive words. Just like here in this particular example, we are using this, that is brand name here. This is the clear words that are understandable by user and as well as your search engine also. And after that, you can mention your slash and then you can name this particular ID. So this is the best practices we have to follow. After this, now the next we have the battle of hyphens and underscore. So Google always prefers hyphens over underscore. When it comes to URL structure, its ports are not programmed to treat underscore as word separate. So underscores are neither SEO friendly nor user friendly. Let's look at the example here. If your URL is like this, if you are using underscore, like how underscore to underscore make, in that case, how your search engine read it as how to make your website, means without any spacing. And it is obviously that when people would want to search for this particular query, then they would put spaces in between. So in such cases, the chances of your visibility on the search engine result page would be drastically reduced. But when you use hyphens, in that case, search engine might read it as how to make your website rank better. This is exactly the same your users mentioned in the query. Making your website rank better, website rank, how to make your website rank. So these all are the form how your search engine read if you are using this particular hyphen here. So now the result is that we have to use hyphen instead of underscore. Next we have no capitals. This should be strictly avoided in a URL just in a case if you are not aware. Let me tell you example.com/keyword. Example.com/ is different URL than your example.com/keyword. Here you can see this is small k and this is your capital K. So the capital letter in your URLs encrypt the URL, making it incredibly difficult to remember. So that's why you always have to use only small letters here. You don't use capital words here. Next we have keywords in URL. Keywords are equally important for your URLs. So try to include the exact keyword or your keyword phrase in your URL, but don't overdo it. The important keyword should be kept at the beginning of the URL as the search engine pay greater attention towards the part. Example, just like this. Here you can see example.com/dresses/breadcrumb. If not possible on the home page itself, so try to including the keyword in the URL for your blog or article or your tool pages. Next we have block bed URL with robot.txt. As we all know that robot.txt is a file. With the help of this, here we can simply ban any particular URL that crawler does not read that any particular information from this particular URL. Okay. So there might be some of the pages on your website which you would not want the search engine to index. This might be some sensitive information or a page not so connected with your website. So you would not want to rank with such pages. So it's better you block these URLs with robot.txt file. You simply copy that URL and you have to mention that URL in your robot.txt file with the structure as disallow / mention that particular URL. By doing this practice, here you can give instructions to your search engine crawler that you don't need to index this particular URL. Next we have paginated URL. This is somewhat similar to your canonical tags. Suppose you have an e-commerce website or any website for that matter, and you have a category pages which include a lot of items which can't be displayed on a single page. In such scenario, more than one page is required for the listening. For example, if the category is of Apple laptop and containing 50 plus items, so these can't be displayed on a single page, so it might require 2 or 3 pages. So its paginated pages would have URL like here you can see example.com, Apple laptop page 1, example.com, Apple laptop page 2. So here you need to add any canonical tag to these paginated URL using the tag like reel, canonical, or you can say reel, preview, reel, next, tag for the same. So here this is the URL which you can use to avoid this paginated. So this is also one of the practice you can use. Next we have is the canonical URL. When you need to serve content that has more than one URL, then canonical tags are your savior. When there is more than one URL for the same page, then the main version is referred to as canonical, and the canonicalization is basically picking out the best URL where they are serving choice. Just like here, these are the examples. One with your www.example.com, this is your example.com. Again, let's suppose you have https www.example.com, https example.com, and here these are some examples here. Next we have www versus non-www. If you have two domain versions of your website, one is your like this and another version is like this, and both www and non-www URLs are serving the same content, then you might face problem regarding the duplicacy of the content, because now search engine consider these as a two website, one with this particular domain name and one with this particular domain name. So to avoid such situation, you must first choose the preferred domain, that is your canonical, which sees, and then 301 redirect all the other non-canonical to the preferred domain. Example, this should be 301 redirected to this particular domain name here. So that's how you can fix this particular issue here. So these are the ways you have to follow to do URL optimization. In my upcoming video, we will discuss more about SEO activity. So thank you so much for watching this video.